Yeah, we have practiced for 1 hour, half an hour walking and half an hour sitting. When we do this, we call it formal practice of mindfulness. In this formal practice of mindfulness, to get an understanding of what we are doing, of where we are heading, we have got to support the practice. To support the practice, there are 5 factors with which we have got to support. The 5 factors are we will have to support the practice with morality, which I'm not going to preach here. All of you are aware of it and all of you live a moral life. And the second one is you will have to support that with listening, which we are going to do. And the third factor that you will have to support the practice is the discussion, which is another item that we have included in our agenda today. And the third, or rather fourth and the fifth factors are you will have to support the practice with tranquility and with wisdom, right? Those two we have already done in our mindful walking and mindful sitting. So to enhance how you become more tranquil, to enhance understanding of wisdom or realization of wisdom, we are using the other 2 factors, which is listening and discussion. Now, why we do this is simply because when you grow something, for example, as a farmer, when you plant something, you just plant it somewhere and then go and take a rest, and after 1 month come and see what has happened to the plant. You don't do that. When you're planting something or when you're bringing up children, there are certain things with which we will have to support the plant or support the child, right? So like that, our father, our mother is the Blessed One, Lord Buddha. So Lord Buddha has also given these 5 factors to look after us, to guide us in the path. So for the listening factor, we are taking the most important discourse of the Blessed One, which is 4 foundations of mindfulness. So before going on to 4 foundations of mindfulness, which we traditionally do after the practice, we go for the talk, right? But I want to change that so that I'll be able to manage time efficiently. I would like to take the discussion supportive factor first. So therefore, if anyone is having any question, if anyone is having any report about the practice, if there is any statement or clarifications to be made, now it is the time. So once those things have been done, then we will be able to go for the listening supportive factor. So I will open the discussion first. So the flow is to you. So you will be able to present whatever discussion point that you have got to discuss. Or if you don't want to talk, you can send me in a private chat so that I will be able to take it without mentioning your name. In the meantime, I will have some water. Okay, so I will assume that there are no serious burning questions or points that require clarification, I will get on to the listening supportive factor. So the reason why I took discussion supportive factor is this reason, so that I know now I have enough time to take the listening supportive factor. Right. And even after the listening supportive factor, I will give 2-3 minutes or 5 minutes, so that if you have any questions regarding the talk, we can discuss then. Right. So taking the listening supportive factor, as I mentioned, we will be taking 4 foundations of mindfulness. Right. So in the 4 foundations of mindfulness, we have already discussed some historical background, and we have now come to a very important juncture of our practice, right? So before proceeding any further, before giving any summary of what we have done, I would like to present that particular chapter we are going to discuss. And then we will go to the listening supportive factor. The particular section of the 4 foundations of mindfulness, what we are discussing today is section on clear comprehension, right? The Blessed One says, I'm giving it in English, again monks, a monk, while going forward or backward, he does so with clear comprehension. Whether he is looking straight ahead or looking backwards, he does so with clear comprehension. While he is bending or stretching, he does so with clear comprehension. Whether wearing his robes or carrying his ball, he does so with clear comprehension. Whether he is eating, drinking, chewing, or souring, he does so with clear comprehension. While attending to the calls of nature, he does so with clear comprehension. Whether he is walking, standing, sitting, sleeping, waking, speaking, or in his silence, he does so with clear comprehension. So this word clear comprehension is a very, very, very important word in the path, right? So I will explain this word, clear comprehension, in 2 different ways. One, how this clear comprehension is applicable in this particular instance in explaining the stage of 4 foundations of mindfulness. And the other way I would explain is the broader meaning, broader sense in our practice, and how it will be important for us to know the clear comprehension clearly. Right. So the first thing I want to mention here is that the limitation that we have in the English language, right? So although we use the word clear comprehension to get the actual meaning of the Pali term, I think we have got to break down the Pali term. We will have to understand the Pali term. We will have to take the Pali term. The Pali term, what is given here is, it says Sampajanya Pabbam. Right? That's the Pali term. Why we say Sampajanya Pabbam? The word Pabbam means the chapter. So in 4 foundations of mindfulness, if we now discuss what we have discussed so far in brief, we have given the historical background where it was preached and to whom it was preached, was discussed in detail. And then we discussed there are 4 bases, 4 objects on which you can maintain your mindfulness. And one of that is the body, right? So now what we are doing is we are discussing how you can be mindful on the body. to be mindful on the body, there are 14 ways. Blessed One has given 14 ways to be mindful of the body. The first one is, we call it Anapanapabba, which means being mindful on your respiration. That is the first one. The second one is being mindful on postures, which we discussed last time. Now we are taking the mindfulness or the Sampajanya Pabba, and in other words, clear comprehension chapter or section on clear comprehension. So as I said, we will take the Pali term, the meaning of Pabba, which is section or the chapter, and the other word which is connected to that is Sampajanya, right? And if I analyze this word, the Sampajanya is having 3 sections. The first one is Sam. It has a meaning. And Sampa, it has another meaning. And Janya or Nya is having another meaning, right? So these 3 taken together is only giving you the correct meaning of Sampajanya. It is so when you hear that, you will understand how limiting the word clear comprehension is to explain Sampajanya. Even in Pali English dictionary, it is not very clearly defined. And what they say is, I have just checked a few minutes ago, and it says Sampajanya means discrimination or comprehension. And there is another one, Sampajana, which is thoughtful. So even these 2 explanations are very limiting. When you understand the word Sampajanya with its constituent parts, right? So if you take the word Sam, the Sam means the self, right, on your own. Sampa means totality, complete, in total, right? Jnana means the knowledge, right? So therefore, the word Sampajanya, you can say the self-knowledge or complete knowledge gathered by yourself. Complete knowledge gathered by yourself, or the totality of the knowledge realized by yourself is Sampajanya. So when you put it in that context, you can see how restricting the word clear comprehension is. I mean, once you know Dhamma, once you know what is happening, then clear comprehension will give some meaning. The word discrimination will give some meaning. And in some texts, they have explained this Sampajanya as constant, thorough understanding of impermanence. So when you see more and more meanings of Sampajanya, you get more and more confused, right? So therefore, the best way to keep in mind is the total understanding of or total knowledge gained by someone is Sampajanya, right? So with that understanding, if we go to what the Blessed One is saying here, what he says is, he says, when you go forward or come backward, then you do so with complete understanding, with clear comprehension, right? With clear comprehension, in this sense, what you do is, you have the total understanding of going forward and coming backward with complete attention to what you are doing, right? And similarly, other things, stretching and looking straight and looking sideways, and also bending and stretching, all that, anything you do with complete understanding. And I will take one more step back. And in the section before this, the Blessed One says, you will have to be mindful of the postures. And the section even before that, the Blessed One says you will have to be mindful of your sitting posture and be mindful of the respiration. So when you take these three postures separately, you can see how the Blessed One is trying to give us the total, complete understanding. So in the first one, what he says is, at the very beginning, when you want to do, when you want to practice your mindfulness on the breath, stop everything. He says, go to a jungle or a foot of a tree or to a secluded place, close your eyes, keep your spinal straight, put your hand, sit on the lotus, in the lotus posture, put your hands on your lap and keep observing your respiration. So complete lockdown, right? Complete restricted environment, right? Then he knows, although you can be mindful this way, you can't be mindful like this 24/7, 365 days. It has to be practical. And it has to be, therefore, this skill should be able to be used continuously. Therefore, in the next one, what he says is, okay, now you are sitting and you are practicing and you have some ability to keep your attention in one thing. Or you have the ability to bring your wandering mind to less things now, right? So, or you have the ability to understand what is disturbing you when you try to bring your mind to one thing, right? So you have some understanding of this mind when you try to do the sitting practice. So with that understanding, you can't keep on doing like that 24/7. Next thing that you can do is you can continuously take this mindfulness to have the total understanding. To have the total understanding, you should have not only in the sitting. Then he says, we'll have to have the understanding when you are standing up. You be aware of the fact that you are standing. That is what is mentioned in the second stage or the second section of bodily mindfulness. When you are standing, be aware that you are standing. And we discussed that in detail, how you become aware when you are standing. And the simple way how you become aware when you are standing is, you take your attention to the contact points when you are standing, which is the sole of the foot. And when you are lying down, you once again become aware of the contact points when you lie down. And when you are sitting, not doing the sitting mindfulness practice with respiration, when you are just sitting, you become mindful of the contact points that you have, either with the floor or with the chair or with the cushion or whatever on which you are sitting, and wherever the body is touching, right? So you distinctly identify the way you are maintaining your body and be mindful of the body, right? So then what happens is, the mindfulness that you develop, the intense development that you do in the sitting practice is brought to more practical aspects. And then after giving these 4 cardinal postures, the Blessed One now, in this particular chapter, what he does is to give even a broader picture, to take even further, to give a bit more variables to this totality. What he does is, he says, now not only standing and sitting and sleeping and walking, when you go forward, be attentive of the complete moving forward, right? When you move forward, there are certain things happening. And when you come backward, there are certain things happening. So that is not just the main posture, there are sub postures in between. When you say, for example, when you are moving forward, you will have to lift the leg, you will have to move the leg, you will have to lower down the leg, you will have to place the leg, you will have to After placing the leg, you will have to press the leg. All these are sub postures. So you'll have to take your attention to those details. So when you take the attention to those details, what happens is, rather than just saying walking, rather than just saying sitting, rather than just saying standing, you bring attention to subsections of your bodily movements. Similarly, when you look straight, you become more aware of the subsections of looking straight. And you look sideways, you will have to turn your head. You can be more mindful of your turning of your head. So then action, what you are doing is changing, but the mindfulness is continuing. And if you are looking to the left side, the same thing. When you turn, you can be mindful and your action is changing, but the attention remains the same. And similarly, you may bend down for something because it's another sub posture that you will have. When you're bending down, it is not one action, it is a gradual slow motion action, or maybe fast sometimes, but still you can, although the posture is changing, you can maintain mindfulness. And if you are stretching, you can, once again, the posture is changing gradually, you can be mindful, right? So like that. Now, in the main cardinal postures, Blessed One is chopping those cardinal postures into small subsections and ask you to be mindful even on those things. And by doing that, what he is trying to do is to give you a complete understanding, more understanding, total understanding of the body. Otherwise, we think sitting and standing is only are the only object on which you can be mindful. Blessed One says no. Anything. Now he goes on to say, even when you answer a call of nature, even when you are urinating, even when you are defecating, you can be mindful, very, very mindful, because it's on your own, it's complete seclusion. And he has been so kind, so compassionate, not to avoid anything that a human being is doing to leave out a point that you will not be able to use for mindfulness. So he is saying whether he is walking, standing, sitting, sleeping, or waking, speaking, or in silence, he does so with clear comprehension. And in the Pali one, what they say is, Pali one is also saying the same thing. So in any way, you will be able to maintain your mindfulness to the body, right? So if you take this and to take this total understanding, to have this clear understanding, to have this direct understanding, to have this self-understanding, you have got nothing to do. Blessed One has prepared the framework. The guidance is given such a way that it will evolve, right? And he is giving these instructions for the clear comprehension of the Sampajanya to naturally appear, to naturally occur, right? So the main instruction that is given in this regard is, in very first discussions we had, I told you, when the Blessed One says go to a forest, go to a foot of a tree, go to a secluded place and sit cross-legged, have the body upright, and then he says take the body as the focal point, have mindfulness to the fore, right? His instruction is keep the mindfulness to the fore. Keeping the mindfulness to the fore means have your attention in front. Have your attention, keep your awareness in the driving seat, right? So when we usually become mindful, our attention is not to keep, or our aim is not to keep the attention of the awareness in the driving seat. Our attention is to maintain breath. Our attention is, our objective is to maintain the breath or awareness of the breath. Blessed One says, no, you don't maintain anything. Only thing that you maintain is just the awareness, no matter what happens. He says, keep the mindfulness to the full. And then you sit and practice. And that is why he says, in the first one, if I take once again respiration, he says, when you breathe in, you become aware of the fact that you are breathing in. When you breathe out, you become aware of the fact that you are breathing out. And in the second sentences, he says, if you are keeping the mindfulness to the full, you will see more details of the breath. And then he says, if the breath is long, after some time, you will be able to see that the breath is long. And if the out-breath is long, you will be able to see that the out-breath is long. That is because you are keeping the mindfulness to the full. And then you see more details now. Initially, you saw only in-breath and out-breath. Now you have seen few in-breaths and out-breaths, and you see some are long. And then when you keep on observing that further, when you see some others are shorter. If some are long and others should be shorter. And then when you keep on further observing it, the Blessed One says, you will be able to see more things. The breath is even changing further. How it is changing is, your complete attention goes to the breath. And as a result, when you breathe in, the lungs expanding and the heart is working, blood circulation is taking place, your attention goes to all those things and you will feel the entire body. Now your attention is not to the breath. Your attention is now onto the body. Why does that happen? Because you keep the mindfulness to the full. If you try to hold on to just the breath, then you will not say anything. You will simply see the breath, you will maintain the breath, your mindfulness is only to the breath. You don't get the total picture. Now you are getting the total picture. Blessed One has given instruction in such a way that you will receive the total picture. And that is why he says, keep the mindfulness to the full and then see more details, as much details as possible, from the beginning to the progress to the end. Then these details will appear, right? So, and then when you keep on observing the whole body, now when you are feeling the whole body, if you keep on observing the whole body, you will have an experience that you don't feel breathing. Your breathing may disappear, right? But still you have some awareness of the body. You have some awareness that you are not dead, right? So like that, your object keeps changing. He himself has given in the very first day. And then to make it practical, he changes the object. In the second section, he says, now you stand, now you walk, now you sit, now you sleep. But still, now this is drastic change of the main object. In the first one, you have taken the breath and he has shown the evolution of the breath. Now, complete change of the object. But still, he is now keeping the mindfulness to the fore and taking the awareness forward, right? And on the same line, when it comes to clear comprehension section, he's breaking those things even further to the subsections and asking us to be mindful, even minor changes between the postures as well, right? So this is the main crust of building clear comprehension or the complete total self-understanding in the what do you call bodily mindfulness, right? So the third one. So if we go a bit more further into this, for you to have this clear comprehension, you should have firm understanding of what is mindfulness, right? Your clear comprehension gets established or gets developed only if you have a very clear understanding of what mindfulness is, right? So, mindfulness in most of the places, they define mindfulness as living in the present moment. That is all right, right? But it is not complete. It is not only just living in the present moment, it is present moment and present place as well. So if you living in the present moment, the present place, then it is better than saying present moment, right? And even that is not complete. For you to have complete understanding of mindfulness, should know it is not only the present place and the present moment. That present place and present moment should be relating to you. If it is not your present moment and present place, there is nothing to talk about mindfulness. We can't talk about mindfulness of our parents. Present place and present moment of our parents is not mindfulness. Present moment and present place of our spouse is not mindfulness. Present place and present moment of our children is not mindfulness. To be mindfulness, it should be present moment and present place of ourselves. Still, it is not complete. The mindfulness will be complete only if you become not living in the present moment or living in the present place and the moment, not only living yourself living in the moment, you should be aware of the fact that it is happening. If that awareness is not there, then you are not mindful. Why I am saying that is, present moment and present place is always with you. Nobody is going to take that. It has been with you, it is with you, it will be with you. But only thing what we are lacking is awareness of the fact that it is there. So the Blessed One is doing us very small tickle. It is there, you just see it. That's all. Right? So he's just prompting us, just giving us a trigger. Just become aware. Bring your attention. Just wake up a bit. It is there. Then you will become mindful. So when you have that sort of a mindfulness, and when the object is changing, you can continue to maintain your mindfulness. So when you are mindful, there are few things that commentators have given for you to understand that you are really developing mindfulness, right? So there are 4 things that they have given. The first one is, when you become mindful, when you become aware of here now I am, it gives a feature, that non-bouncing feature or non-bouncing characteristic will be developed. What do you mean by non-bouncing characteristic? Is our mind is always bouncing, right? When you bounce a rubber ball on the floor or tennis ball on the floor, it bounces, right? Our mind is bouncing much faster than that. It bounces from here to America, here to Sri Lanka, here to England, here to Moon, here to Mars, here to the next galaxy, and it bounces very fast everywhere, right? It bounces from home to office, office to home, office to holiday, and you name it, it keeps on bouncing. But when you are mindful, that bouncing effect stops. It gets narrowed down to very limited thing. Okay, you may not see the breath in full, or you may not see your walking in full, but you may see breath or walking, and there will have some thoughts, there will have some sounds. That bouncing, huge bouncing effect will be reduced. So you will develop more and more non-bouncing feature, right? So that is one thing that happens when you are mindful. And the other thing that happens when you are mindful is you will be able to directly face the object, right? So when it is not bouncing, what happens is, it is like when you drop something. Suppose you drop a plump of clay onto the floor, it will grasp the floor. Or if you just drop some piece of iron onto the floor, it will just stay there. Or if you drop piece of iron into water, it will just go through water and go to the bottom of the container, or bottom of the river, or bottom of the sea, wherever, right? So like that, you will be able to very clearly face the object, since it is not bouncing. Now, when you observe the breath, you very clearly see how the breath is starting. You very clearly see how this started breath is progressing. And you very clearly see this progress, culmination of that inhalation. And then you start seeing gradually it subsides, it fades away. And then you clearly wait, you just observe. Now you have just seen and you have faced the object, and you just keep on observing, and then you see how the out-breath starts. You are face to face with your object. I'm just taking example as the breath. Similarly for walking. When you are face to face with walking, you will see what effect you will have, or what you actually feel when you lift the leg, and how it will be gradually coming, floating in the air how it comes up, and then how it moves forward, and what you feel when you lower it down, what you feel when you place it, and you're more face to face with the object. So that is another quality to say that you are mindful. And the other feature, the characteristic that you will have when you are mindful is you become more secure. You become more protected, right? When I say you become more protected, is because you will be able to see that you don't have much friction now. Because you feel less friction, you feel more protected. You will have a lot of friction when you go to the office. There is no need for me to explain what happens in the office. In the office, what you will always have is there will have someone to bite you from behind. There will have someone always trying to take your place or to perform much better than you, right? There will have people to show off, right? So you will have to compete with that, right? So that competition is a friction. Or similarly, it is just one example. Suppose you want to go for a party. So when you want to go for a party, every time when you go for a party, you will have to go for a new dress, because the same people are coming, and you can't wear the same thing more than twice maximum. And I'm sure you are not wearing more than once. Right? It's a friction. Because every time you will have to go and buy, you will have to change these things, right? And you stop all that. And when you take your attention to the breath, I'm not saying don't change your clothes, please change. When you bring your attention to the breath, all this unwanted energy waste is not happening. You are not trying to satisfy your sense organs. You are not trying to satisfy your sense faculties unnecessarily. You just simply sit with you. Therefore, all these negative energies that are coming towards you will stop. As a result, you become more lighter, you become more pleasant, you become more contented, right? So that works as a protection, and no one has taught you, but you yourself feel that I'm more relaxed now, more happy now. Nothing has happened. Only thing that has happened is you are just practicing, and you are just aware of the fact that you are breathing. And that is all. You have been doing this all this time. You have been breathing, you have been inhaling, exhaling all this time, so many years. But the only additional thing I have done is now I know I am breathing. Now I know I am walking. Now I know I am urinating. Now I know I am defecating. Now I know I am eating. And now I know I am brushing. Now I know I am taking a bath. Just because I have brought my attention inside, I'm not bothered, I'm not affected by what is happening around me as much. So I feel lighter, I feel relaxed. Therefore, you feel a protection. And that is another important factor that you will have, or another important feature that you will have when you become mindful. And the other thing that will happen is, when you feel this protection, you become more attracted to it. And therefore, you try to get established in it. To get established in it, what you are doing is, you are getting more and more closer to the object. When you get more and more closer to the object, then you start seeing object is changing. As I have explained a little while ago, you initially saw the breath, and then started seeing long breath and short breath, and then started seeing not only long breath and short breath, and after the breath has gone into your body, how the entire body is affected, you start seeing. Right? So that is because you are protected, and you get more and more close, and you start seeing more and more information, and you try to establish it. Establish it in what? Not in the breath. Establish in your mindfulness. Establishment in the breath is not mindfulness. We are not trying to hold anything. What we try to do is keep the mindfulness to the full. Right? So when you keep on doing that way, what happens is mindfulness starts continuing. When mindfulness starts continuing, then it's a complete different ballgame. Then you are now not mindful. You have continuous mindfulness. Having continuous mindfulness is clear comprehension. I repeat that. Sampajanya means having continuous mindfulness, because you start seeing the totality, right? When I say you start seeing the totality, if you have seen the beginning of the in-breath at a certain stage today, after 1 week, you will not see the in-breath at the place that you see today. After 1 week, you will see the start of breath at a deeper level than what you see today. And after 1 month, you will see the start of the breath even at a deeper level than that. And it will go into such an extent, you just sit and the breath is naturally happening, and without any flow, it keeps on happening, and you start getting completely absorbed into this entire process of bodily changes, and you simply become aware, and you just become a third umpire, or just become like a camera. You just keep recording whatever is happening. And if you are practicing mindfulness this way, there are no questions. There are no questions. Why? Your mindfulness is to the fore. You know you are not going to, there is no need for you to hang on to the object. Object is changing whether you like it or not. And your job is only to observe, you keep on continuously observing, continuously observing, continuously observing. So when you give your report, what you do is, I comfortably sat and started observing my breath, and this is how I saw my breath, and this is what happened to my breath, and this is what happened to my breath after that, and after that this happened, after that I heard a noise and I was mindful of that, and then some thoughts were occurring, and I was mindful of that as well, and my legs started paining, I was mindful even of that, and then everything that comes in his way, only thing he says is, I was mindful of that, I was mindful of that, I was mindful of that. So there is nothing going to complain. He does not have questions. He is not asking, what should I do now? Anything is an object for you to become mindful. So, in other words, this is like sort of relay race. In a relay race, what happens is, one person will start running and he will run as fast as possible and chain the baton to the next person. And then he will do his lap and chain the baton to the next person. And he will do his lap, chain the baton to the other person, right? So when you go to the end, the one who is crossing the end line is not the person started. Like that, even in mindfulness, you started with the breath, but when you end with completely different thing. You will observe completely different things that you have not maybe sometimes observed in your normal day-to-day life. It's a complete other person who is crossing the line. Why does that happen? You have clear understanding of what mindfulness is. You have clear understanding mainly of how you keep the mindfulness, what you do with mindfulness. Then there is no need for you to learn clear comprehension. Clear comprehension is already happening. Clear comprehension nothing but means showing you that these are not permanent things. That is what Blessed One is gradually arriving at. But he is not saying these are impermanent. He's simply saying, keep the mindfulness to the fore, and you yourself observe that these are changing. And when it is changing, accept. But some books are translating this as thorough understanding of impermanence. There is no question. Impermanence is not something that you try to understand. Impermanence is there whether you like it or not. It's a realization. For you to get to that realization, Blessed One is giving you a path, is giving you some triggers, giving you some hints, and just take you to the top of the mountain and just throw you down. And that is what is happening now. And that is where he is gradually taking. Therefore, when he explained at the very beginning of the discourse, he says, whether you do bodily mindfulness, whether you practice mindfulness on the sensation, or whether you practice mindfulness on the mind, or whether you practice mindfulness of the phenomena, there should have something called the continuing mindfulness. They call it in Pali, Sampajano Satima. A continuing mindfulness geared by mindfulness. Sampajano Satima. Right? So that happens. And that is where the Blessed One is gradually taking us in this section. He's gradually laying that foundation. Okay, now you are a very good boy, very good girl. You can be mindful while sitting, you can be mindful walking, you can be mindful in While lying down, you can be mindful in standing and all that good. Now, you also can be mindful when there are sub postures in between these things. Try to do that as well. It's gradually, prompting us there. That is simply to keep our mindfulness to the fore, to allow us to learn, to train, continuing mindful. And you have got nothing to do. Only thing that you have got to do is to be aware of it. Right? So hope this discussion, this talk, help you to get a bit more deeper understanding of developing mindfulness, and wish you all be able to generate that sort of energy, conviction necessary to develop such mental qualities. And in the next session, we will see where the Blessed One is taking in the body, in bodily mindfulness, when we meet on the 24th, is it? The next session is in 2 weeks, which is, 24th. So with that, I would like to thank everyone and conclude my talk. And we have a few minutes if anyone is having any questions, either regarding the talk or anything in relation to the practice or anything outside which we have not discussed. And once the talk is over, I want to talk to Sachita. So Sachita will have to stay for a while after concluding the session. All right. So any questions from anybody? I see Dean after some time missing in action.
Yes, I have been missing for a little while, but just getting back into things now. So I've been back at the temple the last couple of weeks, just starting up practice again. So it's been probably 6 months, really.
Right. Okay. Nice to see you again.
Yeah. Thank you. That was a really good discussion. I like that talk.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. If there are no questions, either in writing or verbal, that's all right. So we will conclude the session. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you, Uncle.
Thank you.
Terungan Saranai.
Terungan Saranai. Terungan Saranai.